Sound the alarms in Minnesota. We have an imposter inside the building. His name is McCarthy, and he's convinced everyone he's a franchise quarterback, that he can take this group to the next level. And he did such a good job that the populace voted to oust dedicated football servant Sam Darnold from leadership. But now, after just 2 miserable starts and an ankle sprain, Minnesota may be looking at the wreckage and wondering, oh God, what have we done? They've gone from a 14-win team, ready to win, to one that looks like it might not even make the wild card. With McCarthy sidelined for the next few weeks, and Carson Wentz slated to step in, the Vikings are at a crossroads. What do they do with the rest of their season? It's a moment I'm calling the Purple Scare. Is it already over for McCarthy? Or will this just be a small blip on the story of him leading this team to the promised land?
Always be alert. Don't give up on him.
I got you, brother.
In his first 2 NFL starts, outside of a fourth quarter in Chicago, McCarthy has been bad. Really bad. So far, he's gone 24 for 41 for 301 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions for a 67.2 passer rating. Beyond this looking like an average half of football for Joe Flacco, it actually looks much worse when you remove that one good quarter of play. In that fourth, McCarthy went 6 for 8 for 2 touchdowns and tacked on another score on the ground. In the 7 other quarters, he's gone 18 for 33 for 214 yards and 3 interceptions. And the offense as a whole just hasn't moved the ball. They average just 1.43 points per drive, have the second lowest time of possession, are 29th in third down conversions, and are dead last in offensive EPA per play. Yes, that's below the Titans and Browns. It's been so bad that no tinfoil hat is required to speculate if Minnesota is being extra cautious with McCarthy's high ankle sprain. And while it does seem now like the injury is real, the immediate timing of ruling him out did seem strange. I just don't think the Chargers would be so ready to sideline Justin Herbert with a sprain if he just played through the rest of his previous game with it. Regardless, McCarthy is set to miss 2 to 4 weeks, and I think there's an argument that this could be good for him. Take some of the spotlight off him, let him regroup. But then you look at the upcoming schedule, and you realize this could be just the beginning of a Vikings quarterback controversy. Technically a Super Bowl champion, Carson Wentz was brought in late this offseason. He's obviously a few years removed from being a starter, but he has played high-level football in his past, and head coach Kevin O'Connell has raved about him in practice. Don't get me wrong, I don't think Wentz is going to set the world on fire, but the next 4 weeks include the Cincinnati Bengals, Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland Browns, and a bye. There's a very real chance this Minnesota offense looks decent to good against a Bengals defense nobody trusts, and a Steelers one that's given up 30 plus in both games so far. So, let's say the Vikings are 3-2 entering their bye and want to get JJ back in there. He'll be walking into a 4-game gauntlet that includes the Eagles, Chargers, Lions, and Ravens. Right now, it's very easy to envision Minnesota going winless during this stretch, and maybe it's even easier to imagine McCarthy struggling even more than he already has. When and whether the Vikings decide to bring McCarthy back will tell us everything we need to know about how they view this season. If the team wins and looks better with Wentz, but McCarthy gets slotted in, this year is all about developing him to create a higher ceiling. If Wentz plays well enough and stays starting, this year is about trying to win with a roster that's ready. Let's take a look at the tape to get a better idea of what's happening on the field. First, let's give JJ a little sympathy. I can't help myself, I'm an empath. And I think it'd be unfair to talk about him as a passer without also saying that this offensive line has been bad. They've allowed 19 pressures so far this year, with a bulk of that coming from guards Will Fries and rookie Donovan Jackson, and left tackle Justin Skule, who's been the biggest culprit with 7. He's filling in for Christian Darrisaw, and let's just say it isn't going well. Throughout the game against Atlanta, the line was ruined by twists and left unblocked defenders off the edge for free hits on McCarthy. And if you watch Skule for any length of time, you're bound to see him get killed on a snap or two. Still, it's hard to feel awful about a bad offensive line when JJ has the league's 4th highest time to throw at 3.08 seconds. In situations where he's had more than 2.5 seconds to throw, he's gone 19 for 34 for 269 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks. Taking those numbers at face value, you might assume he's having a really tough time reading defenses or getting through his progressions. It's absolutely some of that, but I almost think it's as much of a ball placement and accuracy issue. Like here, on this interception with about 2 minutes left to go in the first half against Atlanta. Off play action, McCarthy steps into this throw right as Jalen Nailor is making his move on the comeback route. It's timed up nicely and he's throwing for the sticks. The only problem is, he floats the ball between both guys rather than more out towards the sideline where Nailor can get his body in front of the defender. Instead, he makes it a 50-50 ball and the defender wins. But that's not to say McCarthy hasn't made good passes in these situations. On the first touchdown pass of his career, he does a really nice job of hanging in the pocket and ripping this one when Justin Jefferson cuts in front of the deep safety's face. It's a nice, confident throw in some traffic, and yeah, it would have been nice if it came out a smidge earlier, but I thought this was really encouraging. Still, he'll hang too long on a first read before getting over to someone else, and I saw him almost automatically go to the easier pass on a progression rather than really reading it out. I thought this play was interesting because you can see him want to hit Thielen on the crosser originally, but then he takes his eyes off it as he steps up in the pocket. He's still got time at this point, but he bails out of the play and throws to Hawkinson underneath. The problem is there's a defender in the flat who nearly picks this off. And look to the second level of that same area. Nailor has a ton of space on a comeback because of where that defender sat in coverage. And the last thing I wanted to touch on was just how few quick passing concepts the Vikings have run this season. Up to this point, McCarthy has thrown just 7 passes in under 2.5 seconds. I'm surprised by it because I think of these plays as confidence builders to get the quarterback into rhythm, and McCarthy can look great ripping these, like this one on an out route to Nailor. Of course, you'd like to see him keep the ball from floating on him, but it's a great simple throw to convert on a third down. There is a little part of me that thinks maybe he's a little spooked to throw these quick concepts after his pick 6 against Chicago came off a similar looking pass, but in reality, I doubt that's true. This defender might have been jumping this route no matter what, and McCarthy staring it down from the moment he received the snap didn't help either. The play is a good microcosm of who I think JJ is right now. He wants to do the advanced quarterbacking stuff like change the play at the line to convert on a third down, but then he can't really make good on it. It's obviously way too early to label JJ McCarthy a bust, but his poor play and now injury put the Vikings in a weird spot. It's impossible to ignore that Sam Darnold won 14 games with this team and they let him walk out the door, and to a much lesser extent the fact they also watched Daniel Jones leave their building, who now looks solid with the Colts. After spending more time watching McCarthy, I did come away feeling like there's something there. I'm not sure how much of something it is, but I definitely wouldn't be ready to give up. But how will Minnesota react if Wentz steps in and shows that this offense is better than it's looked through the first 2 weeks? All I know is being 4-1 at the bye, with momentum going into the roughest part of their schedule, would make it very difficult to just give the job back to the kid. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please remember to give it a like if you did enjoy it, and consider subscribing to the channel so you can catch the next one. Thanks. Bye.